everybody! I have Marlies here and we're going to get to know her and what she does and how she can help people. So, who is Marlies?
It's a big question and I thought of that a lot, and so I said that's a big question and I thought of it a lot because I don't want to go into I don't know 2-hour explanation. So
There's a lot to know.
There's a lot, but in a nutshell, there's kind of two me's. There's the me I was brought up to as being a scientist. I've got a PhD in molecular and biochemistry, so I guess that was my upbringing, or what people in a way wanted. Go to university, never rattle the boat, believe everything that you're told, believe the normal science, and so that was my life for a long time, very long time, till only a couple of years ago when my boat got rattled. But then there's also from childhood on, and I mentioned this because this comes up soon. So from when I was a little kid, I've never actually, already then, never really fit in. I was in my own world. I always did love kind of nature, like the signs of nature. I always was connected to nature, the wonders of the body, the wonders of everything. I always wanted to be a surgeon. Funny enough, I operated on my little cousins with vet gear and used, syrup as blood and all that. And so there was always that fascination with nature, collecting stones and beautiful things of nature, and also wanting to capture it. So since I'm a kid, the days before internet and digital, the best day was when my uncle gifted me this old camera, the film camera. So already when I was a kid, and looking back, my favorite motives was my little cousins, and then it was animals and nature. And funny enough, fast forward about maybe four decades, I actually went back to sort of get a proper photography education next to my full-time science job, and worked with a photographer. And he then already told, like the things he told me, the positioning and everything. When I look back to the photos I did when I was a kid, I had posted my cousins in that light and that. So it was already in me all the time. So why I'm mentioning this is through the last years, through world events, and then also since, even though Australia's sort of had the best times of my life, but there were also the very worst times. So I'm being open here. I was in a domestic violence situation, so I got nearly killed. So there's a lot of things. And then I had a nearly fatal motorcycle crash where doctors were actually really surprised that I'm still here. So that were like big things that also gave me a nudge to explore, or to have to, first starting with the conventional, therapy sort of things, but then branching out into natural healing, natural body healing, and that, one thing led to the other. And so in 2 avenues I discovered I guess getting more comfortable, or getting over me, and finding me is that cliche, but trusting more that it's okay to be different, and to question things, stand up for yourself. So what I now really want to do, I started next to my science job in 2015 when I worked with the photographer. I started sort of my passion project of animal photography, which then, because of work, got neglected. And then I also, in 2020, I lost everything because, again, I spoke out too much. So I had pages that were connected to accounts. I lost everything. So I kind of had to start from scratch. In one way it was good because I did more on my own healing. And I've discovered many things that science cannot explain. And so now I want to bring all this together in how, if we listen to our bodies, how our bodies can heal. I've discovered this new frequency device. I've been sort of learning with it and using it on myself for half a year now. I used it remotely on animals, and again there was a bit of doubt within me, a bit of doubt in the whole thing, because it's not conventional science, or more and more there's actually a lot of science behind it. There's physics and quantum physics behind it. And I used it remotely on animals, and I actually got amazing feedback. So I'm like, wow, this is good. And on the other hand, I also work more with animals. I've worked in sanctuaries overseas. I went through in the jungle.
So where did your passion for animals come from?
I think my very first memories is me, maybe 3 years old. I've been my parents always worked, so they sometimes left me with my great granny. She was, amazing woman.
Oh, lovely.
And she had chickens and I think bunnies, and she let me kind of do my thing, and all I remember is with her, I was just in the garden sitting with chickens and stray cats, and
I love that, because typically our affinity with animals begins with a pet, which is usually a dog or a cat, right? Not silly chickens. I love that.
But I got traumatized because obviously for her, back in the day, she would also, then use them for food, and I once witnessed this, and this was shattered my world. But on the same
well, that explains it then, because now you want to save them, don't you?
Yeah.
Got it.
And the same thing, because sometimes stray cats would come, but back in those days, so where great granny lived was like a village, and if they had cats in the fields roaming, they would shoot them. So again, there was this. So I would sneak out little food from her, and then go in the attic, and then
feeding the feral cats.
sit in the attic in hay balls and just feeding.
Oh, bless. That's so sweet.
Always, yeah, that was always. And I said, I lived in the city there in Vienna, so there's concrete, not much nature. So I think I've been for so long so deprived that everything even comes out more. I just love what I wanted to say. It was one of my best times was maybe only 2018 maybe. So not long ago, when I managed to go to the jungle of Sumatra. Nice. And photograph wild orangutans.
How amazing!
So that was one of those moments I said, okay, I can die now because I did, So that was just amazing. And even just sitting in the jungle with nothing and like literally nothing was just amazing. So,
yeah, I can relate to that a bit. So we have a mutual friend named Brenda.
Hi Brenda, this is to you, dedicated to you.
And Brenda and I went to Borneo and experienced, well, the good and the bad of that, because of the destruction of the forest and stuff. Yeah. So you do animal photography.
Yes.
How does that help people?
Yeah, so that is an idea, and again, it took me so long to even, first of all, put it out there, and now even talking about that, because I have this idea, and I try to put it in a way, my brain often goes into loops, and I find it very hard to portray that in a way that other people can follow. So I've got this over the years, and I've got this group, many know, who know me know the group. It's called My Animal Saved My Life.
Anyone can join.
Anyone can join. And it came from like literally my first ever animal. The way I got her was already, it was a makeup present from that ex-husband just after he nearly killed me. But I was happy to have, to finally have an animal. And she literally, I have to thank her because...
What was she?
She was a cat.
Yeah.
And because I also, that one day when I finally got out of the house, was like he was snapping, and then I don't want to go too much into details, but I ended up taking her to the vet for something really small. When the vet there, actually the people there were more concerned about me and told me, your cat is more concerned about you. And that led me to being at the vet and calling just colleagues. And we got me and my stuff out of the house that evening. So, but it doesn't stop there. She later on also kind of saved me, because there were days when, you don't want to get emotional.
It's okay.
I knew this would happen.
It's okay.
And you don't want to get out of bed, or when everything's too much. But then you have this little fur baby crawling over you, and you're like, oh, okay, I better, I have to get up and feed her.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And then, once you're up and you do stuff, then things get better. And same for my current animal. She's the same. She is for everyone. I guess the last 2.5 years brought up a lot. And again, so my current animal, she keeps me going. Let's say that.
So you have photos of your first cat?
Yeah, or millions.
Which is the value, right? Because we want to remember them.
Yeah. She still have a little altar there, so we honor her every day. And that is actually, when you say about the helping. So there was this other events. I said there's so many events, little events that led to.
They stack on each other, don't they?
Yeah, it's almost. So again, telling you about being the strict scientist, but there was a time when my first cat, she had an emergency, and it coincided with a animal communication course I did. But to be honest, I did that course just to say, because this was already the time when things started to unravel in me, but I was still trained, so it was really uncomfortable. So I more did the course to say, I'm doing this animal communication course, and I will say that there's nothing to it.
I like
Completely
it.
honest. I'm like, I want to see what it is about, but I don't believe in it.
Love it. That's so good.
And I went into that course like that, and I came out with, oh shit. Things that happened, I was like, wow, okay.
So when you communicate with animals, how does that come across to you?
Well, the funny thing is, in the course, because it was the first course, so we did actually practice on people first. And it's more, and it's different for everyone. Some of the real animal communicators, or the people that, some of them get, I don't know, they really hear, or they really get.
Yeah.
For me, it's more I feel, and I sort of get a flash of a picture.
Okay.
Which I said at the beginning, I wasn't. This is not. So there was an example in that course. We thought, first we trained on people. That was the most amazing things, because I was with a lady, and the exercise was to picture her, the place she likes or loves, and I'm like, what is this? So I had some ideas, but I thought this comes from me. And then when I told her what a vision, she was like, you nailed it down to the decoration, 2 socks and a rocking chair.
Wow.
Like, okay. And so then
Pretty
it was,
impressive.
yeah, it was just, so we have this telepathy in us. We just have to listen on working on it. And with the animal, it was like my first, where I noticed that there is something to it, was in that course they said, think of a random animal and just see what comes up. And I was like, man, I see, neighbor cats, I don't know, I see so many animals all the time. But then suddenly I was like, nah. I did also volunteering 6 times in Cambodia at the bear sanctuary, and there was one old bear.
Nice.
I always felt a connection to her. And even when the keepers were not looking, I was playing with a broom with her, but we don't know this. We don't mention this. So this bear comes to my mind, and they have over 100 bears there. But she came to my mind, and for some reason I was like, I just got a very uncomfortable feeling. I got some pain in my ear, and I just knew that something wasn't right. That was the cause. And funny enough, a few months later, I went back to the course was in June. In September, so 3 months later, I went back to the sanctuary. And I was like, and after the course, I can't ring the sanctuary and say, hi, I got a feeling one of the bears is, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I went there, and when I came to the bear house where she is, because there are different bear houses, I was like, oh, how's they so? So nice to meet everyone again. How's they so? And the keeper was like, looked sad, and then they said she passed away a couple of months ago. And I said, what was happening? And they said, yeah, she got sick and died. So I was like, okay, oh my God. So that's when I got there's more to it. And fast forward, when I had this tragic event, my first animal was run over. But yeah, I can't. And anyway, I rescued my cat now, but because she came from the street, she was already 7 years old, so no one knew her background, and I wanted to. So I contacted, and she's one of my best friends now, Sabina from Souls and Stars Sanctuary, and I just thought, I was still like not so sure, and I thought I contacted her, maybe she can help me if she remembers me. And she, of course, I remember you. And I said, this is Midnight, my new cat, and anything you can tell me about her. And they're having the most amazing conversations. Anyway, but again, I was like, she could tell me anything. But there was one particular day or thing my cat apparently said to her, which no one, not even my best friends, could have known what happened that day back home, because I didn't post it on Facebook. As you see, I'm dressing black. I normally don't really like pink, but there was a night I wore a pink dress, and I didn't say it to anyone. And I came home, and the next day, so I asked Sabina for something else, and then she came back. Oh, and by the way, Midnight liked that pink dress, and I also never wear nail polish, and I had purple nail polish, and no one could have known. And Sabina got back to, oh, by the way, I just had this weird thing, she said. I'm like, what is it? And she said, oh, she liked the pink dress and the purple nail polish. And I'm like, okay, this is just, yeah. So this is the experience that led me, there's way more, and learning more about communication. One of my passion was to bring back our connection to animals, because Beautiful. I think we can learn so much. And I also learned they mirror our pain, they mirror our whatever we have mentally going on. So what I want to bring together with photography, healing, and animals is, number one, if I photograph you, as I just want to photograph you and your animal, not as in, oh, picture perfect, we are sitting in a studio. I just want to kind of capture the whole you. And the clients I had so far, they were always like, they picked photos where I thought, oh, maybe it's not the best photo, but then they were like, no, this is their character.
Connection.
And also their character. So yeah, what I want to bring is the connection, taking time out that you actually dedicate to look at the animal, because obviously often in very busy lives, you like feed, go to work, do this, go home, feed, but we don't really have that. And only through that connection, as I said, we can learn so much. We're like, oh, why is she behaving like this today and behaving like that the next day? And it often has a lot to do. And I've seen
our own energy.
And the funny thing with the healing of this cat over East, it actually sometimes what I found in the cat, and I said, and then I asked the lady, what's going on for you? And then we found out there's so much connection. So that's what I want
I've always believed that animals carry what we can't. Like if we're really, really sick or really, really sad, they'll take some of that.
Oh, they do, and I've seen it with my cat. I've just seen it so much with my cat as well. The moment, I've just been pet sitting, and there was quite an eventful time, and I came back yesterday evening, and I was quite like, I was just happy that everything went in the end really perfectly and really well, but I do stress if I have a lot under my care. So, and then she came, and she normally never lays on me, and she just laid on my whole chest. So they just know.
Yeah, agreed.
And many people, like also often, especially with dogs, I see they're like, oh, that dog behaves really strange, and it's just being put off as they're having a mood or whatever. Often dogs bark, but they might bark because they don't understand you're doing something different. So
sure, yeah.
There was a because I also read a lot about animal communication at the moment, and there was this particular a story that stuck with me, that a client of that communicator said, oh, you know, her dog's, she was about to move, and her dog got really sick and upset and everything. And the communicator asked, well, have you actually ever told your dog that the dog is moving with you, that you're not leaving, that you're moving with the dog? And she was like, no, I mean, that's a given, I'm taking my dog. But she said, but the dog might not know. And as weird as it sounds, she said, you know, actually tell your dog you take the dog, she's coming with you. And she did, and from the next day, all her health issues were gone.
I had a foster dog here for a few weeks, or a puppy, and he got moved to another carer that had children and an older dog for him to learn from, was what I was told. And leading up to that, the day he was being picked up, he was being really rambunctious and jumping around everywhere and being quite annoying. And I said to him, come here, I want to give you a cuddle, I want to tell you something. And I literally told him what was happening. And I tell you what, he just sat there and he kind of just went and leant on me. And he just went straight calm and like, okay, I'm going to be good.
Wow. That's what I want.
Yeah, they understand. Yeah, they do understand. Yeah. I was hearing them.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. I just want to bring all this together. I guess.
So how does that look?
How does it look? So at the moment, I offer photography sessions that include kind of a consultation and a frequency healing, and you can do the frequency healing for yourself or for your pet. So that's sort of packages I have at the moment.
And the photography follows that, or?
No, we would do a session first, a photography session first, and obviously in the session, because we talk about your animal, we see where everyone feels comfortable and what comes up, and then we go from there.
Got it.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. So where can people find you, Marlies, if they're interested in this whole package? It's incredible.
Thank you. I've worked a lot, but it took me a lot to come out with it, because as I said, the stigma of...
Well, you got the right audience with me.
And I finally got a new Facebook page up, and it's called Animal Soul Pics with an X at the end. And we can leave the link under this video.
Yeah, we'll put it in the comments. Yeah, and if anyone has any questions for Marlies, please comment as well, and she'll get back to you.
And I also do, you know, if you're not in Western Australia, and if you want to do a remote session for your animal, and then maybe for yourself, you can contact me as well.
Thank you so much, Marlies.
Thank you, Diane, for the opportunity.
No worries.
I mean, it's so amazing how we met online. Have fun.
The world of Facebook. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.